started a podcast because I'm not very talkative. I spend 95% of my time quiet and 5% of my time talking.
So
Believe that or not.
I take up the 5% of your day to day, I believe.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is June because I was born in June, and welcome to our amazing entrepreneur show today. And today it's my pleasure to invite a very, very special guest that we have, and he is Chris Schelzi. Hey Chris.
Hello, everybody.
Good to have Chris you on our show today. So just to give you guys a really brief introduction about Chris. So Chris is from UK and he once worked 80 hours per week as a chef. And after 5 ankle operation and both ankles, he needed a desperate change and he wanted to go into tech, but then he didn't know how, right? And then he taught himself on how to type quick, do basic coding. It's really, really awesome. And he finally able to start a podcast interview show of all kinds of entrepreneurs. And 50 episodes later, he interviewed the head of growth at AppSumo, which landed him a job at AppSumo in November 21. So the rest is history. So it's our pleasure. Hey, Chris, great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me today, June. It's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last few months working at AppSumo and having you as a wonderful or amazing partner.
Yeah, it's really great to know you, Chris. I didn't know so much about your story until you sent me. So can you tell me your backstory? Like you were once a chef. Can you tell me more about it? How the transition like?
Yeah, my childhood dream was to always be a chef. I think it was in 2011, I did a cooking competition. I said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life and I want to be the best chef in the world. And at that time, I didn't have any health problems at all. But I started getting lots of pain and just shaking it off. The pain's going to go, but I continued to work. One thing led to another, which led to another. Double ankle surgery, so I had to have my left ankle done first, then my right ankle done, then my left ankle, so forth, to recover. Then I realized, although I did work in America and Australia as well, working as a chef. So I really did live out my childhood dream for about 7-8 years, and then decided I needed to retire because it just wasn't sustainable for me. And then I was very confused about what to do with my life because, I'd been working as a chef all those hours with no other skills really, except for maybe leadership, discipline, working under pressure, those kind of transferable skills. I wanted to go into teaching, tried that, didn't like it. All those kids with all that attitude. With all that attitude. And then while I was recovering from another ankle surgery, I decided, I've got to learn some technical skills because that is the way of the world now. And I really wanted to start working for a tech company, but I didn't have the computer science degree. So I learned to code basically, like what is HTML, what is just the really basic stuff. I did some courses online. Then I started a podcast because I'm not very talkative. I spend 95% of my time quiet and 5% of my time talking.
I take up the 5% of your day to day, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I need to build my confidence on camera and I need to build my confidence talking more. So what better way to do that than interview people that I'm interested in talking to, entrepreneurs, CEOs, team members of tech companies, stuff like that. And I just started off small and slowly, maybe not slowly actually, I interviewed 50 people in less than 4 months just to take my skills to another level.
That's almost 15 people. Oh no, about 10 to 12 people per month. That would be like 2 per week.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It started as one a day, and then it gradually went up to 4 a day, and then I burnt myself out during maybe the middle of that. But on the 50th episode, that's when everything changed, and I interviewed Chris Schelzi at AppSumo.
That's really awesome. Like out of so many platforms, why did you pick podcasts?
Why did I don't know.
Mm.
Probably because I just saw it as a thing to do, and I started off doing video podcasts because I thought, oh, I need to grow a YouTube channel
Okay.
to be world famous, to get all these subscribers and make some money online. So that's what I thought. But then I thought, oh, podcasting sounds cool. Let's try that.
Mm.
And yeah, that's why I
So
started.
from not really knowing anything at all about podcasts to really able to like interview 50 people in like 4 months, that's really fantastic. So where did you get the courage? Like a lot of our audience, they will be like, oh, I wanted to start a podcast. I want to do like live video. I want to like be a coach, but then they couldn't take the first step. So how did you overcome? Did you have any doubts? Like, and how did you
Oh,
overcome?
yeah, I think I've cancelled about 10 episodes over my time because I was just really nervous
Okay.
before the call. And what I did to get over that was just prepare more for the calls. And if I was going to book a guest, then
Mhm.
it had to be at least 2 weeks away. And then I'd give myself enough time to listen to their podcast episodes, read a book of theirs. I've got a few of their books on my bookshelf, just to get get an understanding of who they are as a person, what kind of interviews they've done before. That way, I'm going into the episode knowing enough about them to, ask them about it.
Mm.
And at the start of my podcast journey, I wasn't really focused on what to ask them because I was
Mhm.
just learning. So I asked them, what do they do? Because on the first few episodes, I didn't know.
Okay.
And I think being curious is probably one of the best tips to get out of self-doubt. Is if you don't know somebody, try and find out what they are. And you can make an hour podcast or 45-minute podcast just by asking them, and then relaying, so whatever they said, then you can ask them about it. That way you're just the host, and you don't necessarily need to ask questions. You just need to just repeat what the other person said and get more
Okay.
information about them. Yeah.
But then like how did you make the decision that hey, is it like suddenly you decided, hey, I'm just going to start a podcast and I'm just going to start tomorrow? Or it is a decision that you have been like slowly making it in the back of your head and there's a day that
Mm.
you decided like how did you make the switch?
Yeah, there's two important factors. So I invested in a course called Video Creation Academy. A dear friend of mine, Chris Cunningham,
Mhm.
is a mentor of mine, and has been since maybe 2019, just to
Mhm.
help me with video creation, and that kind of took my interest to a new level. I asked him to say, would it be a good idea? Then a member of his community, Chad Nedland, me and him had
Mhm.
a 4 hour call maybe
Wow.
before we started this whole podcast, just to
Okay.
talking about anxiety, talking about my vision, like 5 year
Mm.
vision, um, kind of like a coaching call, but just between peers and friends.
Okay.
And he said, why don't you interview experts? He gave me the idea, but he didn't think that I would actually do
Do
it.
it.
He said you could do 4 a week for so many weeks, and then by that time you would have 52. Which, if you drop
Okay.
one a week, you'd have one a week for a year. So I said, that's it. That's a great strategy. I don't know anybody. And then he said, no, you do know people. You know me. You could interview me. You know Chris. You can interview him. You can ask Chris and me who I know, and you can interview them. So then that's when it started kicking off. But I remembered I already had an existing network of business owners, of coaches, of marketers. So I just asked them. Most of them said yes. A few said no, but those few people that said no have said yes to me this time round for season two.
Wow, that's nice. I believe
Yeah.
that a lot of our audience they wanted to start their podcast show. And then what would be any steps or framework that you will ask them to actually follow through if let's say they really want to start something?
Oh, a framework for them wanting to start a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, um, Whew, that's tough. I guess you have to decide who your audience is
Okay.
and who you want to interview, what the idea is in the first place. So if you have an expertise in something or you're curious about a particular subject, like I still don't know enough about tech to run my own tech company, but if I surround myself in that environment, that would be number one tip as well. And then once you've got the idea, once you're in and around those people that have the information you want to build to up level your own skills, and you don't necessarily need a name to start with, because mine came during an episode. Get this is the first mic I bought. You can't see it because it's blurred, but
It's being blurred, right? You're still using it.
It's still, yeah, I'm still using it because I'm on a low budget, like most people getting started. And then so have an idea, know who you want to talk to, get a cheap mic, like a $50 mic, or it can be $30, it doesn't matter, or $10, or just don't get one at all. And then what I'd recommend is build out like a Google form.
Okay.
Like an onboarding form. So you send it to your guests to fill out some information, and then that information could be the answer to a few of your questions that you're going to be asking on an interview.
Okay.
So that way you're preparing your guests, and you've also got some gold nuggets to ask them. But it's not a script, but it will help you think of other questions to ask your guests. So, yeah.
That's very brilliant.
And press record.
Oh, I love that. I once interviewed someone like on a video, and I forgot to like press the record button, and we have to re-record the whole thing again. I totally agree. And guys, really golden nuggets from Chris so far. If let's say you've been loving this episode and you love what you are hearing right now, please give us some comments down below. And Chris, I really love the one that you shared with me. Like, prepare a Google form for your guests so that they can answer some of the questions and you get to know them without really do a very intensive research. I think that is really smart and brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. So next question. How did you decide that you want to interview like entrepreneurs? Is it like because of friends mentioned so, or is it because of your hobby you always love about tech?
Yeah, good question. Well, I've always been interested in, wanting to start my own business, and I fell down that trap of shiny object syndrome, where I could earn $10,000 in a day. Not going to happen. I fell into that trap, and I realized, or slapped myself and made myself humble, that it's going to take a little bit of work. And I think it would be best if I spoke to people that are doing it, maybe not $10,000 a day, but they've got a small business, or they've built a sizable business by affiliate marketing, or building a software company, whatever it is. And most of the time, if you just email somebody and you ask them, you want to talk to them about their business, that they usually say yes, because they love podcasts too. But my interest was, I wanted to start my own business. How am I going to start my business? I don't know. Why don't I ask people what they did, get a few tips along the way, build a network around that, and nurture those relationships, so that one day, if I wanted to start a business of sorts, like kind of have one right now, like a podcast business, but I've got that support, I've built that network, I'm gaining those skills as I go. And that's why I started the podcast, and why I started interviewing entrepreneurs and SaaS founders, because 5 years down the line, I'd love to have my own little SaaS company.
That's awesome. I'm really waiting for it. Like, it's a really golden nugget so far. And I love how you inspire a lot of, like, perhaps you are 95% like thinker, you can only talk about 5% per day. That's you. You're exactly Chris. And that shouldn't stop you from starting something like your own show. And okay, so Chris, if let's say someone wants to start and they have really fear of rejection, what would be the one piece of advice that you give them? Or anyone who wants to start, what is the one piece of advice that you give them?
Okay. One thing that I've learned over the last few months working at AppSumo, probably 6 or 7 months it has been, is to just do. And don't think about, oh, what could happen. You get into this triangle, this three triangle. Overthink, then you don't do, and then is it? Yeah, you overthink something, then you have self-doubt, then you don't do it. Then you overthink it, you have self-doubt, and you don't do it, and you just keep repeating that cycle. If you don't think about it, well, you've got to think about it a little bit, but don't overthink the situation, because I could think, like, only last week I interviewed somebody who had clients over 1.2. So he's a copywriter and a very good copywriter, and he has helped his clients earn over $1.2 billion. Okay. To talk to him on the call, I could have been super nervous and I can't do this because he's going to be rude, or he's too big of a person to ever want to talk to me for an hour. But when I got on the call, he was the most loveliest person you could have. So I could have overthought it and go, oh, I'm too busy today, and cancel the call. And then I would have missed my opportunity there of talking to a really nice guy. So make sure to go to YouTube, go to that link after the call and check out that interview, because he even gives away a burger recipe.
Wow, that's nice.
He used to be a chef. So
he used to be a chef as well. Wow. Yeah. Guys, seriously, you can actually do anything that you love. And if let's say you've been wanting to start podcast, just follow what Chris advised, just do it, don't overthink it. I love it, it's brilliant. So one last piece of advice. So someone who wants to start, just do it. So anything else any quotes that you want to inspire them?
Quote. Maybe not a quote. Okay.
Just do it.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah. Oh.
This one. Okay. The past is history. The future is mystery. Today is a present. Today is present, and that's why it's called a gift.
Woo!
Or something like that.
The past is history. The future is
a mystery.
Is a mystery.
Today is present. That's why it's called a gift.
I love it. So be present. And if let's say at this moment, starting a podcast or starting a live show is what you want to do, just do it. Follow Chris' advice. Don't overthink it. And Chris, really thank you so much for sharing so much of golden nuggets with us. Okay, our audience would love to know how to connect with you. So what's the best way to connect with you?
Okay, so you can go to my Sleek bio, and June has that link, sleek.bio/talking with experts pod. You'll learn more about my podcast, some of my upcoming live streams, and my previous ones. I would go check out the Adil Amarsi interview, and then the Rich White interview. He has the #1 app on Zoom Marketplace right now called Fathom, and we had a wonderful conversation about that. I would also go and get Fathom if you're using Zoom to record your podcast. So yeah,
love it. So guys, don't worry, I'm just going to put the link down below here, so please get connected with Chris, and then just mention that, oh, I saw your awesome interview together with June, and I love to learn from you, and Chris have tons to teach you and to show you. Okay, so thank you so much, Chris, for having to being on our show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.